In this video, I want to talk about something that can really make you lose other people's respect. And that's also a major mistake in dating. This is something that can trigger a strong reaction if you do it in obvious ways. And when you do, you're usually aware of it. The person you talk to might get angry or wanna leave the room. But even in a milder, more subtle form, it can create smaller reactions. Even if no one slams a door in your face, the behavior can still be met with coldness or awkwardness. And you yourself might only be partly aware of what you're doing, or not aware at all. And just like it can be unconscious for you, the other person's reaction can be just as conscious. But if you're observant, you can feel it. Like something isn't sitting right. Their gut is basically saying, he's doing something we've seen before, and it's not safe. Imagine this. You've just started a new job and you're at an after work. No one else has arrived yet. So it's just you and another colleague there, and you're trying to get to know each other. Suddenly this guy starts talking about how much he can bench press, how he can get any girl he wants, and how many fights he's been in. He just starts bragging. And instantly, even if you have a cold beer in your hand, you want to get up and leave. But why? Why do we get so annoyed with people who brag? Because we interpret it as the person, whether intentionally or not, is trying to say, I'm better than you. It creates a status imbalance. You feel like someone's trying to push you down. It's also nearly impossible to build trust with someone who brags. When someone feels the need to talk themselves up, it's usually a sign that they don't actually embody the qualities they want to project. If someone can bench a lot, you'll see he's buff. If someone gets laid a lot, you'll see how he interacts with women. If someone's been in a lot of fights, you'll just know he has a backbone. It doesn't need to be said. And if it does need to be said, it's probably because there's a lack they're trying to compensate for. The person bragging also comes off as just insecure, because they're seeking validation. This can vary between cultures too. Where I'm from, bragging is very taboo, so it's perceived as even more rude. In other cultures, it's more accepted and just a part of how people talk. But I still think it's something we naturally get a bad feeling from, even though it's reinforced in some societies. To sum it up, bragging creates a bad vibe. Shocking, right? You probably don't behave like that coworker because you know it's socially clumsy, but chances are you found ways to do it anyway. This is what I've mentioned earlier. There are more discreet forms of bragging we all slip into without thinking, and it's natural. Of course, we want others to see us as impressive, so we gain more status. But this is one of those kind of things that it just doesn't work. It just doesn't. No matter how you try to disguise it, it will have a negative effect on your social life and your ability to attract women. I'll get into why it hurts your dating life so much, because this, in my opinion, is the absolute worst thing you can do when trying to build attraction. Nothing on planet Earth will obliterate your chances with a girl more than this. But first, let's go through the most common form of hidden bragging, so we can shine a light on things you might be doing. Things I'm guilty of doing too. And feel free to comment below if you recognize yourself in any of this, or if you have your own examples of subtle bragging. The most common hidden brag is when you wrap it in a complaint. For example, you tell your friends how tough your new job is, or how early you have to wake up because of it. But what you really want them to take away is how disciplined and hardworking you are. Another example is mentioning how tired you are today, so you seem resilient. Or talking about shoulder pain from the gym, just to highlight the fact that you're working out. Or maybe you mention how stressed you are because of all the projects you're responsible for, so you come across as important, competent, and in demand. Or you say, man, I need new clothes, to imply that you have a good sense of style. These things can be said with no hidden motive, but often they aren't. And just because of this reason, that they can be said without a motive, we think we can get away with it. And we kinda do, but not really. They create the same feeling you had at the bar with that annoying coworker, just at a lower level. And that's what the gut feeling is trying to tell you. It wanna say, something is trying to control you. Something here isn't trustworthy. Something feels unsafe. Avoiding this mistake will help you in social situations, because then you create the opposite effects. People experience you as confident, trustworthy, and grounded. So I want to encourage you, next time you're about to complain about something, pause for a second and ask yourself whether you're actually trying to brag. If you're honest and realize, you know what, I did want to elevate myself with this, then don't say it. If you feel, no, I genuinely wanted to complain, then go ahead. Life is already cold and tough enough to not vent a little. See what I did there? I mentioned how hard life can be to imply I've been through pain. And there I did it again, trying to show how clever I am. And now I'm doing it again, trying to show self-awareness and how smart I am. And now I'm looping it to seem funny, and continuing in a tragic attempt at humor. I'm full of shit. That's probably the best summary. Maybe everything humans do is bragging, or at least trying to elevate ourselves to gain status. In almost every action, there's some underlying need for admiration, you know? There's so much fake stuff in society. Everyone's pretending all the time. Everyone's putting on masks and showing up in different spaces trying to prove how capable or perfect they are. Something funny I've noticed is how many people at work walk faster than they need to, just to look busier, like they have more on their plates, to boost their status and avoid being kicked out of the tribe, which in this case is the workplace, because that's what eventually happens if you don't adapt. You get fired, you're outside of the tribe, and then you earn no money. If you don't find a new tribe in time, you might end up on the street where you eventually freeze or starve. The faster someone walks, the more fear they have inside. Now I want to talk about why bragging, in any degree, is the number one deadliest sin when it comes to attraction, and why it can stomp your chances with girls straight into the ground. The first reason is what we've already covered. It doesn't create a sense of safety. It creates a bad vibe, even on a subtle level. But there's an even more important factor to consider. I recently uploaded a video where I break down the most important behavior of becoming more attractive and creating better connections with women. The link is in the description, so feel free to check it out if you want to better understand what women look for. In that video, I talk about the concept of simply being normal, not trying too hard in either direction. You're not overly nice to please her, and you're not acting like a jerk because you think that's a better strategy. You're just normal. You behave like a regular person and talk to her like a regular one. Girls are attracted to guys who get a lot of girls. The kind of guy other women want. A guy like that has enough, and therefore doesn't feel desperate enough to perform some exhausting acts. Being normal is actually a signal that you do get girls. That's what can be read between the lines. And women are good at reading between the lines. When you brag, even subtly through complaints, you are still trying to impress her because you want her to see you in a certain way so she'll sleep with you. And why are you putting effort into that? Because you're not getting enough of it elsewhere. And therefore the need feels strong enough to require effort. If you were already getting girls, if you hooked up with someone yesterday and the week before, you wouldn't feel the same pressure to score with this one girl. You just relax and have a conversation. This is one of the reasons why guys suddenly gets way more attention from women when they're in a relationship. You might have noticed this yourself. Women react positively to your presence, and suddenly you get more looks. There's a lot to dig into here, so maybe that will be my next video. If you want to make sure you don't accidentally brag in social situations or on dates, then actively try not to complain. Because complaints are usually just disguised bragging. I don't mean you should in a neurotic way stop yourself from talking, but just be aware of this and reduce it. If you cut down on the subtle bragging, I promise you will have a lot more success with women and a richer social life where you are more respected. If you made it all the way to the end, make sure to drop a like and subscribe so I know you enjoy this kind of content. And I read all the comments, so feel free to share your own thoughts and ideas about the topic. I'd love to hear them. Have a good one.